Hi, this is Lisa from Question the Narrative. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And I'm back here with Honey Golden. Honey, how are you today, Tuesday, the 29th of April?
I'm doing good. It's been a little bit discombobulating today, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but everything, like for me, feels just kind of like it's a little, almost like you're standing on a vibration plate or a platform that's moving, but it
Mm.
doesn't feel extremely terrible. I know that like I was missing my dad yesterday and he was definitely present in the night. So there's a lot of people passing right now, which is huge. And
Yes.
we'll talk about that later because that's part of what's going on energetically.
Oh, wow. I know you and I had a chance to just quickly catch up before, and I also was feeling that. I woke up this morning really with that. There was almost a sense of anxiety, and there was any noises that were going on, and I'm living out here in the country now, and I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. Why? And I was observing why it was that concept of sort of anxiety bound, that there was something going on, and that there really are things that are shifting right now. And you were saying to me, particularly in Europe, because I'm based here, that the collective here is very stressed. But let's start off with that and then go back to why we're both are feeling this way, as you were saying, because what happened yesterday in Europe was quite the eye opener, from a variety of perspectives. So for everybody, I'm sure everybody who's listening to this knows that there was a power outage, and it was at least 12 hours in all of Portugal, all of Spain, parts of France, and they said it was parts of other parts of Europe. So a lot of people were talking about how this could have been a result of multiple different things, or some atmospheric shift, or some solar exchange. And then we've had other explanations of that. But honey, what do you see? What do you think? What do you see was the cause of this power outage?
So I see it as white hat and ET. So getting the frequencies ready. So, and I'm just turning my phone down, sorry. Um, Basically they came together to organize this. So they're switching over the banking system in Europe. Feels like
Mm-hmm.
final touches is the words that come into my head from my higher self. And it's also an awakening of, guess what? Maybe you want to be in control of your own system because this is a system breakdown. And
Mm-hmm.
it also helps people, like everything is layered, but it also helps people be aware of, how tenuous those power systems are, but also how tenuous the systems in general are, and that we should be
Mm-hmm.
responsible for our own
Mm.
well-being in this world, you know?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so the way the power grids are set up is that they're actually connected. The entire
Mhm.
system is connected. Now, one of the things that we've been hearing about is that Spain had just recently transitioned over into all alternative energy. Could this be related to the alternative energy systems that they've been sitting over, that they shifted over to?
I get no, that it was caused by them. And actually they're gonna do better because of what they did. Some of it.
Mm, okay.
Some of those systems feel like they're not great, you know, but the majority of the system will be something they can use.
Okay, so it'll be something
So
that's more
that's what
interesting.
comes
They were
in.
saying
Yeah.
solar power and wind power was something that
Mhm.
they've been shifting over to. 107 was talking about how it was more related to that. It was white hat, was what you're saying, or it was partly that, but it was preemptive in a way. And it was also to highlight and to show that these things can happen and that you do need to be prepared. But also, it was done at a period or a time where it would not hurt people as much because the temperatures were neither too hot nor too cold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And also we're in that space now where it's time for the quantum financial system to come in it's time for the systems to fall. And
Mm-hmm.
we've come through the portal. So think of it as the birth canal. We've come through the birth canal. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just our head at this point. It feels like the shoulders are now through. Um, and Europe is kind of at the end of the body. So
Mm-hmm.
think of it as consciousness, like how many are awakened? Where are they at? What are they feeling like? So Europe doesn't feel like it's actually up here. Feels like it's still in the birth canal a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
still in the darkness. And they're not going to have as sweet of an awakening. It feels like America has been in a really rough time. But also it's about to get softer. And it feels like
Mm,
Europe may have kind of a jolt,
mm,
and then the awakening will happen. And there's also not as many, this sounds terrible, but there's not quite as many awakened human big souls in bodies in Europe. So
I think
there's
that's
going to
why a
be a
lot of
smaller
us,
population.
yeah, so that's why I think a lot of us were sent over here to Europe where you're seeing a lot of
Mhm.
this thing. And
Yeah.
there's been such repression. I think we've been seeing that because Europe is such, I mean, so much heart and so much beautiful things here, but it's been more repressed because of the
Yeah.
taxation systems that they didn't elect in the Federal Reserve in 1913. They did not say yes, they did not do that. It was just there. They've always been controlled financially.
Mhm.
And I think you're right. That's the thing. So in a way, is this really good news that we've had this shock that this is saying that something is moving for us?
Yeah. And there will be more, is what I get. But that doesn't mean it has to be a physical thing as much as like maybe some of the leaders are going to fall in weird ways. There's going to be
Mhm.
more shocks coming to Europe, to Canada, to a lot of the countries that still have what you would call like a liberal
Mm,
leaning leader, because they're not for the people. So it's
yeah.
all about sovereignty and everything. And that's sometimes people have to be pushed into sovereignty.
Yeah, which is interesting because you sort of forget of what freedom was. And here in Europe, they really have forgotten. I remember doing this piece of work in the Balkan region. We were doing some primary research in the area, and what I came out with was such a shocking revelation that the region, former Yugoslavia, had not had a market or a free market economy since before World War One. Yet they were trying to privatize companies that had been started pre-World War One, where none of those business models were relevant, and they were trying to work in a way, and no one, no mother, no father, no grandparent, no great grandparent had lived in a free market economy. So how do they know what it's like? So they
Yeah, they
forget.
just don't.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is really interesting right now. Why I think it's so, I'm excited to see. I mean, I'm not excited that people have had that experience because I know what it's like to be without power, but thank God it was not during a cold or a hot spurt where people were dying on
Mhm.
that, but it's interesting times. What should we know from this? What should we know from this experience?
Change is here, and we need to kind of embrace it instead of being afraid of it and needing to know what every bit of it means, because there's going to be
Mhm.
so much over the next little bit. Like it feels like it's going to accelerate tremendously again. And it's
Mhm.
because all the resistance is going. The resistance to change is leaving. And maybe in Europe there's more resistance at the moment, but also we have to remember that some of that resistance is people that we believe are real and they're not. So
Mm-hmm.
how much credence or how much power are you giving to someone who is a hologram?
Well, this is very interesting because right now there's so much information out there about what's going on. I don't know if you're familiar with a YouTube channel, Rumble channel called Redacted with Clayton Morris and Natalie Morris. So Clayton was a former Fox news anchor as well, and he was friendly with Tucker Carlson, so he was of that genre. And his wife also had been in the business, so they were credible, quote unquote, mainstream journalists. But he's had this YouTube channel, Rumble channel, for a number of years. And he's been doing incredible work. And I mean, he is now, most recent one is a whistleblower who used to work for one of the big companies, big sort of military operation companies. And he's talking about everything that's happened down in Antarctica, how Antarctica was, where the ETs are, where it's an ET base, how weather manipulation is coming from Antarctica, how weather manipulation they moved the storm, the North Carolina storm, how the EMP pulses are creating earthquakes, specifically the Christchurch in New Zealand earthquakes that were so terrible. And then also when Biden said to Turkey, you don't want to do this, wait, you're going to get an earthquake. And then they got the earthquake. He's saying things at this level of disclosure. Yet and he's got a very international audience. He's an American who did it. He and his wife did it from Portugal for a while. Now, more people are watching that, but how come that isn't? So when will we absorb that? When will we get out of that cognitive dissonance of this major information that we know?
Well, because we're basically born. Okay, so the other night I was sitting
Yeah, let's go
outside
through this. This is
and
great. Yeah.
yeah, because this is the perfect time to bring it up.
Yeah.
John and I and Crystal. So Crystal came to help with my dad, and she was still here. And we all sat outside, and the ETs said a few words. One of them was born, and the other one was we did it. So basically, we are through the birth canal. Not completely, it feels like for some people, and this could be considered residue that they're hanging on to. Or but we're in the 5D, so we're in fifth density with the fifth dimension at this point. And that is shaking things loose that are no longer relevant, and it doesn't feel good. And depending on where you are, it could feel worse or better. And there's going to be a lot of sadness because there's a lot of people passing away. And people have been afraid of death for thousands of years. That's been a huge program. My dad is ecstatic that he's on the other side and doing whatever he wants to be doing. Like he's having so much fun. And I'm looking at, all the things that I have to still do for, in the 3D,
Yeah.
idea. And they're shifting so that they're easier, some of them. But we have to remember that just because we're in that new realm doesn't mean that we don't have to deal with the things that we carried in with us. So we have to let go of programs or ideas that are really old and don't serve this realm. And that doesn't feel good. So a lot of people are leaving, and there's sadness around that. A lot of us have been experiencing illness or anxiety. So anxiety is your body's like, oh, how can I absorb all this information? It's so overwhelming. So you want to be as grounded as possible. That's really important. What else? It's just like we're kind of in that space where you're stepping into the shower to let go of all the dirt that has been on you through an
Hmm.
experience that was really hard. And until it goes down the drain, you're still dealing with it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you just said a lot of stuff about that, about the amount of information that we're absorbing can
yeah,
cause a lot of this anxiety and not grounding. Because you're right, we are, as you've said before, time is moving faster. Things are coming at us faster and faster. But right now, as we awaken and we remember more and more, and I think what you're saying is the veil is thinning and we're seeing through this veil. So I want to ask you about that. But we're also seeing here that we have to absorb, we're attracted to that information. We want to know. I'm finding myself, and I don't know about everybody else, I'm like, I keep on going, and then I'm like, I've got to stop. And then I put on
yeah.
the nanny. Then I'm like, I gotta laugh. I gotta laugh at something that's just really, super fun that my daughter and I used to, I mean, like ridiculously funny things, but it's overwhelming. Is that like, why are we so attracted to getting all this information and then like overwhelmed by it all?
Well, think of it as a cup that's spilling over, and information is made of light, and all the light that's been coming at us and bombarding the body, which is also made of light, but it's a
Mhm.
slowed down light, So it's like you're bombarding it with particles that the body is like, I don't know if I can handle it. So you have
Yeah.
to take moments of rest and be grounded. And I mean, I've been watching this dorky show called Foundation and finding all the different
Oh, I love Foundation. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
That's a
it's a
great
great show.
one.
There's tons of disclosure in there, but
Mm,
also you can see how dysfunctional they all are.
yeah.
There's so much dysfunction in the way that they set up their basically Roman, like the empire, their Roman
Yeah.
Empire,
Yeah.
So that obviously
Yeah.
doesn't work. It's not going to work anymore. That was part of the old system.
Yeah.
And we have to come into a new system that's more alive.
Yeah. And it's hard to
And
envision. And that it's also, I think we take in that information in order to like create the new system. And we know we're doing it, but then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I've absorbed, and now I can't create right now. I'm exhausted about the
yeah,
creation parts of what we're doing, which is very interesting. But once again, I just feel like the universe continues to give us a little information and guide us on what we're supposed to know right now. But over and over again, it is about understanding our history, understanding our history from the perspective, though, of knowing who we are and that are these incredible beings of divinity that were so connected, and what was taken away from us was that connection to divinity, and we're getting that back. Now, how does that reflect with this veil that you were saying before about to me before the show? That is the veil thinning, and are we starting to see something here?
yeah, the veil is thinning tremendously. The other night I got up in the middle of the night, because you go to the bathroom, came out of the bathroom into the living room, and there were no walls. So all the walls in the house had disappeared. And I don't even know that the floor was really there in the living room. But when I walked back to where I could see the bed, so there was no wall to the bedroom either, and I could see the bed, I just was like, okay, obviously this is happening, but I'm going to go back to sleep. So I did. I got back in the bed and I went back to sleep. But that's reality. Like, reality is that none of this stuff is truly real. And I was
Mm.
being shown that because I was in a really relaxed state.
Huh.
So the more
Wow.
relaxed you can get, the more you're going to see through the veil because you're allowing your body to vibrate higher.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
what's going on energetically and vibrationally with Earth right now? Because that's one of the things that keeps coming up over and over again. It's about how this planet was put into a negative position. Now it's shifting. What's happening?
She is letting go of the old stuff that she doesn't want. So if you can think about it as, you got the dumbs, right? You have the underground, which some of it is ancient stuff, way before we would have, you know, become aware of it, like, 100,000 years old. Okay, so some of it's ancient. And then you have the dumbs and the merging that was created by basically the dark side, if you want to call it the black military or whatever they're called, but the
Mhm.
deep state and Atlantis and all that stuff. That was all part of those dumbs. Then you have the societies that were like Egyptian and Roman and doing a lot of negative sacrificial things and nasty things. And then you have the current society on top of that. And Tartarians were in the middle of all that stuff. So you have layer after layer after layer of societies, and she's clearing that energy. That's what Mother Earth is
Mhm.
doing. She's like, I'm done with this stuff on my skin,
Yeah, get
you
out of
know?
here.
Yeah. So she wants it gone and she's clearing it. And that information is coming to the surface now. I saw
Mm.
something on Tucker Carlson, and then I think somebody else shared like a bigger version of that show. And this lady's talking all about the dumbs.
Yes,
And
this is
yeah,
another thing. Yeah, exactly. In fact, that woman there from the Solaris report used to work in this whole central banking system. And she's very sort of credible talking out loud about that. You're right that. But let's go back to the earth part of it is, I mean, it's just constant disclosure and it is a
yeah,
cognitive dissonance if not there. But energetically, what I'm hearing is that the earth has shifted its poles. It's had a pole shift and that she's gone from this way to this way, and that the ET ships are actually supporting us to make sure that we're not going to have all of these massive weather changes. Is that what's going on, or are we? It's a little bit more simplified than that.
I think it's more simple than that. Earth is a donut. So if you thought Earth was round, then she would have a pole shift. Is she shifting her frequency? Absolutely. And
Yeah.
she's making us shift ours because she's sick
Hmm.
of she's like done. She's like, I'm done being in, having you guys run around and have all these ideas and create all these constructs that are no longer relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So the energy, if you think about it, there's a car going 100 miles an hour. And if you can't keep up with that car going 100 miles an hour, you drop out of the race. So maybe your car can only go 75 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what's happening. A lot of people are leaving right now because the programs, think about like maybe they're holding them back like a rubber band. Maybe their idea of I'm still a victim. Money is like a scary thing. It's for evil people. Maybe they just don't think that this money system is really going to materialize. Like all those ideas don't
Yeah.
serve the 5D, the fifth dimension.
Yeah.
So those ideas are being purged out, and sometimes that just makes you nauseous or sick. And then sometimes it actually takes your body out of this realm. Now,
Ah,
that's not
okay.
actually
Okay.
a sad thing
No, no, not at
because
all.
they're having a great time once they figure out how to be over in the new realm. And there's so many helpers for that now. There always
Mm-hmm.
were, but I feel like there's even more now.
Yeah, it's
And
clearer now.
yeah, and for us, it's like, are you willing to let go of them, love them, and know that you can still be in contact with them? And then also start to let go of the NPCs and the power that you give them. That seems to
Yeah.
be coming in as a big thing. Like you meet somebody and they're just like, I don't know, I just think you're crazy or whatever. And what
Yeah.
is your preconception of the people that you meet every day? If you don't care what they think and you give power to your beliefs, then people that don't resonate with that won't show up. You won't receive that
That's really,
mirror of,
yeah, yeah.
oh, cognitive dissonance. You won't receive it. Now, right
That's
now
interesting.
in Europe, it feels really big right
Yeah,
now. It's a
yeah.
really big mirror. And I know for you, you've said to me some things like, they don't seem like they're getting it. Like they don't
Exactly.
seem like they're getting it. What is going on here?
We're not
And
making
I
any
think
progress
it's,
here. We're definitely not.
yeah. So there's more people that are, they're not inhabited by a big soul over there. And it could be any country, you know. I think America has been through so much, and the big souls are, they're a little more concentrated in this country because it had to lead the way. That was the
Yeah,
plan, the divine plan, because it was the military country. So, but when you're seeing that and you're running into that, I know other people that have been in other countries recently, and they're like, everybody's freaked out. They're so afraid of what Trump is doing. And who are they? Who are these people really
yeah.
that you're
No, and it's
meeting?
fascinating.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is fascinating. We're getting that quite a bit. But I think you're right. There is there's a lot of fear here. And you're
mhm,
right that the US had to be the one leading the way because we were the ones that had to do that heavy lifting. We had to wake up
yeah.
first. And not because it, anything other than that. Everybody's equal. It's just that, it's the awakening part of it. But you're
Everybody's
absolutely,
equal. Yeah.
yeah.
And it
It's
was
that.
just because of the military and the fact that a lot of people remembered how to be free still,
We
because
had a
they
little
were
bit
still being
more,
told
yeah,
that they were free. So they still felt it inside of themselves.
oh, I think
So it,
that's exactly right.
yeah, it
Yes,
gave a better
so good.
opportunity.
Right, and I think that's exactly right. We were told we were free, we felt we were free, but only recently we didn't realize we weren't free. Here, they never felt free. They didn't understand that. It's different. And as I was saying, I go back to that story about the former Yugoslavia and how they didn't have that anything to look back on. If we can't see it, how can we know it? And that's
Mhm.
actually part of what's going on right now, this undoing of all this stuff. We have to see it in order to believe it. And now we're seeing so many things, which sort of full circle.
Yeah,
Well, honey, this has been great. I have a short window here. We both had a short window. We were trying to do
yeah,
this, but this is good. Is there anything else that we should know? Because we'll do these more frequently now. Maybe we'll do some more shorter
yeah.
ones as well.
Um,
And you
just
want to share it?
taking care of yourself and being grounded. So important. Yeah, right now. And be willing to go into change with enthusiasm and let
Yeah,
go of the worry about, oh my God, it's changing. Let go of
beautiful.
that and say, you know what? I'm so excited that it's changing finally. I've been asking for this for years and it's finally happening. Be excited. Allow the changes to be really good. Yeah, that's it.
And that is true. I love be excited for the change because that's exactly where we are. And be excited for the things that push us into the discomfort level because we're seeing things that we want to do. I think that's wonderful. That's the message. Excited for the change. Honey, thank you for being here. This is Lisa from Question the Narrative, wishing everybody a great day, and we will see you soon. Ciao.
Bye.